So this is my way of sharing who I am, where I come from, and how I ended up here. Welcome, wonderful souls, to Holy Healing Talk with your girl April, founder and CEO of Holy Healing Chronicles. This podcast is a part of our mission to create a safe space for people to express their emotions and heal their hearts. We have amazing things happening, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, join our email list at www.holyhealingchronicles.org. We hope you enjoy the Holy Healing Talk. So bear with me, because there will be tears. I have to tell you, it will be tears. I will cry a little bit. No, I will cry a lot bit, because grieving never stops. And of course, when you talk about your parents and things that you go through, sometimes it just hits the heart. But to begin everything, I need for you to know a little bit about me and why we are here. So there's going to be 3 episodes. Episode 1, it's going to be breakdowns. Episode 2, it's going to be breakthroughs. And episode 3 is going to be the healing and spiritual journey. So let's get started. This is episode 1, and it's called Breakdowns. I call this the breakdowns because this is everything that I had to go through. This is the endurance part for me. Blow a little bit. This is the endurance part for me. This is the part that I didn't understand. So let's get started. I'm April. I am the youngest of 4 siblings. I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. I'm also a mother of 4. I have a 28, 25, 20, and 19-year-old. Woo! I don't look like what I've been through. But anyway, when I was 8 years old, I lost my father. He was beaten to death. And that was a really detrimental space for me. I was sad. I'm a daddy's girl. Losing my father at a young age, really, really set the tone for a lot of the things that I experienced and that I had to go through in my life. So to be closer to my dad, I inherited some of his traits. My dad was also an alcoholic. But one thing that I could say is that he was a great dad. But he was a horrible husband. Also, not a good stepfather either. I just had to put that out there. But for me and my sister, he spoiled us. He made sure we had everything we needed. My dad worked. My mom was an at-home mom. But even being an at-home mom, you never know. When you look back over time, you notice wow, you never know what she was thinking. You never know what she had to go through. My mom left my dad and ended up moving in with her twin sister. From there, life, as we say now, started to life. Not for me, more for her, because she had to endure my behavior. I became a problem child. I was fighting all the time, in trouble, to where I ended up getting kicked out of school. Thinking about it now, wow. Not knowing what she had to endure with my dad, but the things that I had to put her through because of my sadness. My mom was diagnosed with cancer when I think I was 15 and a half, going on 16. But she didn't want people to know. Mainly, she didn't want our children to know. She was very protective and private about us. And she knew that if that was something she would share, mainly for my older siblings, how they would take it. I was the child that was very independent. I had the mouth. I would talk back. I just was the problem child. My siblings were a little bit more codependent in their own way. So, yeah, like I knew that my mom protected not telling us because of that, for that reason, like not wanting them to have that burden. But it's weird because the way that it was told to me was through a dream. And it's when I knew, for a long time, I knew something was different about me with the spiritual part, but didn't really understand it. But my dad came to me in a dream, and the dream was really crystal clear, to where I woke up out of my dream and I went into my mom's room and I said to her, "You have cancer." And as she would always tell me, because I talk so much, she would say, "Girl, you don't know what you're talking about. Go back to bed." I'm like, "You got cancer. My daddy told me." And she just didn't say anything. I remember her leaving, going to a doctor's appointment, and she didn't come back home. I walked down the street to her twin sister house, and I'm at 4 something in the morning. And I'm like, "Hey, where's my mom? Like, why is she not here?" And my aunt said, "Oh, she didn't tell you? She had cancer and she had to get her breast removed." Oh, you talking about like someone so hurt, so angry. Like, I was so angry. I was more angry at the fact that she just didn't tell me, because she would attempt to tell me a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have known. But with other people absent, like, it was just her and I sometimes. Well, I had my daughter May 7th, 1995, and my mom passed away May 19th, 1996. And that's when the endurance started. Woo! I told y'all it'll be a little cry. Because when I look back over my life and that endurance, you never know how strong you are in that process. So I'm a young girl with a baby, wanting to break a generational curse, not wanting to have children at a young age, but God did what he intended on doing. It was necessary. It was necessary. So now I'm on this journey of looking for love, because my dad is gone. Now my mom is gone. I got to try to figure out my life at the age of 17. Got my own little place at the age of 17. Trying to just get through it. At the time, I was with my daughter's father. And that relationship was just young. He was a year younger than I was. I'm 17 going on 18. He's 16 going on 17. So that's crazy. But I think I'm living a life because I got my own place. He's there with me. We got our daughter. But I started to experience the abuse at a young age. Right away, I didn't try to fight back. But it was a situation, when I tell you, my God, that was a situation where I could have ended up in jail for the rest of my life. But God. I didn't know that he was struggling with mental health issues. And I thought it was just normal because I didn't understand. No one really talked to me about mental health. I had family members who struggled with it, but I didn't really understand it. And one day, he came to my house. It was Thanksgiving. I'll never forget. Thanksgiving of 1996, he came to my house, and he thought he heard someone, and he just started to fight me. And when I say blow for blow, just hitting me, and I'm taking it. The next thing I do, I run and get a knife. My intentions was to kill him. But I did. I blacked out. I just started to stab and cut and stab and cut. And blood was everywhere. It was everywhere. And I never forget when we called the ambulance and the police. He was in my face. He was just saying, I love you. Like, we had just told him that we was just playing. And, you know, I love you, right? And I'm just standing like blacked out, and he in my face, you know, I love you. It was a mistake. We was playing, you know. And I'm thinking in my head, dude, this ain't no mistake. You was fighting me. You was beating me, and I got a knife and I cut you. By the grace of God, like, that night ended with me cleaning up blood, crying. My daughter was at his mom's house, so it was just him and I there. And I just took that time to clean, get myself together, like get my mind right. And then immediately I'm off to the next relationship. No breaks in between. Off to the next relationship that quick. But in that relationship, number 2, he pretty much like spoiled me. Like he was a drug dealer. Like I was in peace by that. He showed me all the nice things and he gave me everything. He took care of my daughter as if she was his, and I got pregnant. And he goes to jail for murder. And I'm dealing with girls and other women, and I'm young. Like, so I'm fighting him. He's not fighting me at this point. I'm fighting him because of I want you to myself. I want you to love me. Why you gotta love me and love all of them? But I didn't understand. This time I'm 19, 20. He goes to jail for a murder. For 2 years. He didn't see my son for 2 years being born. None of that. He came home around the time my son turned 2 or turning 2. And that's what I got back with him. Still dealing with girls. You'll read that in the book. He ended up getting murdered. Now I'm a single mom. But before he got murdered, like I found myself like, I knew he was messing with people, so what I do? I prepared so that I didn't have to be alone. And I ended up going to boyfriend number 3. Boyfriend number 3 right away. But the bad thing about this one was I was still in love with boyfriend number 2. But I'm keeping boyfriend number 1 here for my security because I don't want to be left alone. So being with boyfriend number 3, but still seeing boyfriend number 2 get killed. Now I can be with boyfriend number 3, but my heart is broken because boyfriend number 2 is gone. And I feel like that was the love of my life. But I had this one because it was a rebound. And that rebound, like, toxic, trauma bonding. Like, he had trauma issues. I was dealing with trauma issues. So now I'm trauma bonding. I'm with someone who's hurting and I'm hurting. So we can't love each other. We can't do it right. But guess what? I get pregnant. 3 baby daddies. 3rd child. Destruction. But this was my endurance. I ended up like losing everything. Like I was about to get evicted. I would like be looking out the window like, because my baby daddy number 2, who was the drug dealer and took care of everything, like he wasn't supplying because he ain't here no more. So I ain't work. I didn't do anything. But guess what? I lost it. Apartment, sitting in there, barely food. I went and I bought a Greyhound bus ticket. And the funny thing about that was I didn't even know where I was going, but God prepared me. I remember Christmas of 2002. I was in the house and I had a neighbor and she came over and she was so nice. She's so sweet. She knows who she is if she ever watched this. But she ended up saying, "What you doing for Christmas? I want you to come go with me. You don't sit in the house on Christmas. Come on." So I got my 2 children, my girl and my boy, and now, I'm pregnant with number 3. And I go with her to her family's house, and we just hopping around. She goes to her mom's house, and we ended up at her godmother's house. And I never forget, her godmother just kept staring at me. And she said, I don't know what you're going through. And I don't know if you even have help. She said, but I want to help you. You can sign your children over to me, and I'll keep them temporarily. But I know a place called Green Bay, Wisconsin. You ever heard of that? And I'm like, no. She said they really, really, really help mothers. I said, well, no, I ain't signing my kids over like, She said, look, I don't want your baby. I don't want it. I don't want them. I just want to help you. And I said, no. But I didn't forget Green Bay, Wisconsin. I never forget, like, we left there, came home. Kids was out for Christmas break, and my daughter, she's 7 years old at the time. My son, he's 4. And I remember taking her to school. When school break was over, it was actually January the 7th, 2003. I took her to school, and I came back home. My son and I walked into my apartment, and I just looked around, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. I felt it. I didn't know what that thing was, but I felt it like I wasn't supposed to be in this apartment. So I get with my boyfriend, number 3, and I say, let me use your phone. I want to call me a taxi, a cab. And I think he knew. He was like, my auntie on the phone. Like, he wouldn't let me use the phone. So I got frustrated, mad. I ended up walking over to the payphone, and I called me a cab. I remember my sister's mother-in-law taking me to get my kid's birth certificate in preparation for this. And I remember her asking me, did I have money? And I'm like, no. She said, okay, we can exchange some things, and I'll give you money, and I'll keep that to myself. And she gave me $100. And I'll never forget getting in that cab, and the guy who was loading my suitcase, my little backpack and a duffel bag, my daughter Barbie suitcase, I never forget him saying, like, wherever you're going, you're going to be okay. But if you can't go, call me. Here's my number, and I'll come back and get you. And I was just bawling, and I was just crying. He said, I don't know what you're going through. I looked over at boyfriend number 3. We both broken. And he got tears in his eyes watching me leave. I get in that cab, and I just cried. I get to the bus station. When I got to the bus station, I heard a lot of people talking about Minnesota at the time helping young mothers. But that bus ticket was too much. So I said, well, I'll take 2 bus tickets to Green Bay, Wisconsin. She said, well, you have to pay for your son. I said, oh, he can't sit on my lap. She said, no, he's 4. He needs his own seat. $100. I never forget it. For 3 tickets, it was $99.63. I had 37 cents left. I panicked a little bit. Called my boyfriend number 3, collect, and say, hey, I only got 37 cents. You think I should go? You think I should cancel these tickets? He said, no, just go. Call me when you get there. So I got on the bus. The longest ride ever. The longest bus ride ever. I got on the bus. And it was full, but when I made it to Milwaukee, it got empty. It was one little girl on the bus, though. Like, she was like 14. She was leaving Chicago visiting her grandmother. So she came up because it was like her, myself, my 2 kids. Mind you, I'm pregnant. And there was one person up all the way in the front. So she came and started talking. She said, where you headed? I said, Green Bay. She said, oh, that's where I'm going. I said, oh, really? She said, it's weird. It's 2 sides to the city, the east side and the west side. I said, oh, now mind you, I'm from Chicago. We got the north, south, east, west, southwest, southeast, all that. We got all that. But I go. She talks and plays with my daughter, and we get there. She gets off the bus and she goes to her car. And I'm just standing in the Greyhound bus station lot, like looking around like okay, we here. What do I do? The little girl runs over and tell her dad, like, hey, I guess we need help. So the dad pulls up and say, hey, if you need a ride, I can give you a ride. I said, no, I'm fine. He said, look, I understand you don't want to get in the car with strangers, but I don't feel comfortable leaving you here. Let my daughter walk with you and I'll trail you. I said, okay. So we trailed to the police station, and the police station said, walk a block. Go a block. It's a place called Family Services. And I said, okay. We get there, ring the doorbell, and one of the, I guess, advocate workers, social workers, she said, hello, how can I help you? I said, I'm homeless. She said, who is the little girl with you? I said, she's just someone that came to help me find this place. And she said, well, tell her she has to go. She left. When she left, they buzzed the door. I went in. And the lady said, okay, you and your kids come on in this room. And I said, ma'am, is it possible that they can sit here and I can come in? And she said, oh, okay. She sat, and I went in. I told the kids, I'll be right here. Told my daughter, you watch your brother. I'll be right back. If you need something, just knock on the door. I went in there. I dropped my bags, and I just bawled. I cried so bad, so bad. And she said, oh, she started grabbing tissues, like, what's wrong? I said, I'm homeless. I don't have any place to go. And I prayed on the bus that I wouldn't have to sleep in a park on a bench, and that I just be protected. I didn't even know. I know of God, but I didn't know if he heard me. And she said, if I have to pay for you and your children to stay in a hotel, I would do that, my husband and I. She said, have you eaten? I said, no, all I have is 37 cents. And she said, let's go. She took us to McDonald's, still being prideful. My kids like, we want nuggets, we want this. And I'm just looking like, hush. She said, no, they're children, and you're pregnant. You all need to eat. She bought us all food, but I still couldn't like really eat. So I'm just snacking, and we're just sitting in the lobby space. My baby, like, I'm sleepy. Like, I'm like, just lay down. I didn't lay her head on a duffel bag, just lay. We just waiting on a place. And she came and got me at like 1:30 in the morning and said, we have to go now. It's one room. She took me to the shelter, pregnant. And we walked down this long hallway, and it was one room. And when I tell you God heard my prayers, you wouldn't believe me, but it was 3 beds and a crib, enough for my daughter, my son, and me, and an unborn child. I fell to my knees, and I just thank God. And I made a promise that I wouldn't look back. I'm going to fight. I'll never, ever, ever be in this situation again. That was a portion of the breakdown. Ugh. That moment, I said, I won't look back. So that was my endurance. That was the breakdown. That was God really saving me. He was showing me that he was with me the whole step of the way. When I thought it was me. But I was still broken. Baby daddy number 3 came, and things started to look up a little bit. But I kept getting in my own way. God was showing me who he was and what he could do for me. But I just kept getting in my own way. So I'm going to end the breakdown, but not quite end it. But I'm going to end this episode with saying, no matter what you go through and what it looks like, know that God is with you every step of the way. You are never left alone. Even in our prideful mindset, our honorary ways, we think it's us. And it's not even us. The Holy Spirit is in us. God is with us every day. But that endurance I had to go through because it prepared me for the next chapter in my life, to which I'll share with you in episode 2. I hope you all have subscribed to this channel. Hit the notification buttons, like, comment, and share, because episode 2 is about to be real. Woo! It's about to be real because I still had to go through some breakdowns to get through the breakthroughs. So, until next time, your girl is signing off. I love you all. Thank you for your love and your support. Stay jolly, stay happy, stay safe.